Hey, this is Paul Smythe, and this is an overview of the KLN94 VFR and IFR operations. First thing we want to look at is the test page, and you can see there's an ORS3, which tells us our revision number, and that should match the GPS manual. Next thing we want to look at is the OBS test, and we want to turn that nav GPS switch to GPS, and then note the reading you're getting on the CDI there, 247, and go over to the GPS test screen and verify that's the number the GPS sees as well. Okay, press enter, and that will take you to OK, and press enter again to pass. And this is the reference page. Want to make sure that you see the airport you're at there, Louisville, and the time. Okay, press enter. And we want to check our expiration, and this time the GPS is expired. Press enter to acknowledge, and now we go to the home page. Okay, talking about direct to navigation, we want to press the direct button, and then the inner knob you want to just turn to the side first to get the whole thing going, and then use the outer knob to move over to the next space, and then use the inner knob to actually change the digit within a space. And you just go back and forth until you have the whole airport loaded. And we're using JVY, and once that is all complete, go ahead and press the enter button, and the GPS will confirm, is this the airport you want to go to? Clark Regional, yes. Therefore press enter again. And the GPS will load the information for you, shown by the desired track DTK of 341, which is blinking at you because it wants you to set it over there in the external CDI. Another view of the buttons, if you notice on the right hand corner of the screen that yellow M that's blinking, that's the message the GPS has for the pilot, and if you press the message button right there, it'll bring up the information. Press message again to get out of that. The next one's the OBS button, which turns any waypoint, whether it's a NDB or a VOR or a fix, into a VOR kind of station, so you can set particular courses to the waypoint. The next button is the altitude button, which allows the pilot to set barometric pressure. We'll press that, and the barometric pressure is, when it's set, it will give you a pretty accurate reading on your altitude, which will be helpful if you lose your altimeter for some reason in the clouds. You also have the minimum safe altitude and en route safe altitude, which would correspond to an en route IFR chart. Using the inner knob, by the way, to set the pressure. And then you just simply press cursor to complete that, or you can press the altitude button to go to the next page. The altitude button has a second page, which is the vertical navigation page, and allows the pilot to figure out what kind of vertical speed you need from a descent. The next button is the nearest, which will give you some nearest options as far as airport or VFR, NDB. You would just use the outer knob to scroll over and press enter. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Skip the direct button there and go over to clear, and clear functions as a backspace or actually a back button, and enter just enters data. You also have a range button up there, and the range button is like a shortcut button to the moving map page from anywhere in the GPS. Then you have the cursor, which gets you into the GPS screen so you can customize items. Outer knob will move the different spaces, and the inner knob will actually customize whatever the space that's highlighted is. I'll show you how to do that on the moving map next. So press cursor to get out of that, and then the inner knob to move over to nav 4, and then press cursor again and get you into the moving map page, and the outer knob changes the space, inner knob changes the type of information. Press cursor to get out of that. You also have the procedures button there, which allows you to load departure procedures and approach procedures. And we'll be using that shortly. You also have just a brightness knob there that you can adjust for night operations, and also a knob that you'll pull out to turn the GPS off. Using the outer knob, let's scroll over to the airport chapter, and then use the inner knob to change the pages within that chapter. And this pretty much will give you just about all the essential information that you would want for any kind of airport you're going to. Runway information, frequencies, what kind of fuel they have. So it's sort of a airport facility directory right there in the GPS. Press cursor, you can actually change the airport in the airport page. So let's change it to Lexington. So I'm using the skinny knob there to find E and fat knob to get over to the next digit, and then I'm changing that to X. Press the cursor again to get out of that, and then you can actually press direct here to do a shortcut direct to Lexington. That's a second way to go direct to. From the airport page, you can just press direct on the airport that's in there, and then it will just load it automatically. First approach we're going to be doing is the RNAV GPS runway 18 into Jeffersonville, Clark County. So let's load that in there via the initial approach fix, Eaton. So we'll press procedures. Select approach, we want enter to do that. And there's a host of airports here, and JVY is the first one, so if we could press enter again. You would use the fat knob to find another airport if you wanted. And we want the RNAV 18, so fat knob down to RNAV 18, and then press enter. And we'd like to do this approach via Eaton, so go down to Eaton, press enter, and add to flight plan. Now all the points on the approach are automatically loaded as a flight plan. Now to go direct to Eaton from where we are, press cursor, get into the screen, fat knob down to Eaton, and then we'll simply just press the direct button with it highlighted. And we'll load that and press enter. It gives us our desired track, which is 306, and it's blinking because we need to put that in. So let's set 306. And now just turn the airplane. So let's say we've turned the airplane and now we're off course, and just press direct again and you can reload a new direct track from where you are. So direct, enter, and now after you've completed the turn, you can make that final 15-degree adjustment. Just remember to reset your CDI every time you go direct somewhere. You really want to treat that as one step. So we want to talk a little bit about the desired track and the track. The desired track is the course the GPS actually plots over the ground, and your track is the course your airplane is flying over the ground. And note that's different than your heading. Ultimately, you want the track of the airplane to match the desired track, and you use your heading indicator to find the heading that gives you the track that you need. Okay, and let's say we're on the approach. We have 4 nav pages. That's the basic one with the actual internal digital CDI. And the next nav page, nav 2, is your present position from a nearby VOR. I'm using the skinny knob here to go through the pages. And the nav 3 page gives you all of the time information, time en route, time that you departed, the current time, all of that flight plan kind of information. And then the nav 4 page is moving map, and that shows you all your loaded points. We could press the range key to adjust the range. And the range key, like I said earlier, also functions as a shortcut button to get to the moving map from anywhere in the GPS. So adjusting the range there as you'd like it to be, and you can see all your points there loaded in the screen. Now you see all those highways and airspace. If you want to clean that up a little bit, you could just press the clear button and it will remove all the land data at first. So all you're left with is airspace and airports. And then you could press it again if you'd like to remove all the airspace and airports. So what you're left with is just your approach course. And press clear a third time to go back to the beginning where everything is in the map. Okay, as we cross Eaton, the waypoint will start to come up on the screen and Eaton will blink, and we want to just turn the airplane to a heading of 332 in this case. So the outbound is 002 in this case. We want to turn our airplane to 332, 30 degrees left of the outbound, and time for 1 minute. There's the next sequence, and we'll just continue our procedure turn. And when we turn inbound, we can set our course, which you can see the desired track for the approach is 185. Now you'll notice on the approach chart, it actually says 182 for the approach course. The GPS is making an internal adjustment for you, so just go ahead and fly what the GPS says, and that's all you need to do. So we're going to fly 185 to fly that course. Note also we want the LNAV MDA, since we do not have a WAS approved GPS. So 820 feet is our MDA, and Oreo is our final approach fix, which will be an important point for us to double check on our GPS. Okay, now when you're within 2 miles of your final approach fix, the GPS is supposed to activate and change to the approach mode. Now if you see there on the screen it says approach, arm, and leg on the right hand side, you want the approach to turn green and the arm to change to active. And notice now we have a 1 mile course width. When it goes into active, it's going to count down to 0.3, which will simulate kind of a localizer feel when you're on the approach. At 2 miles, watch the right hand corner of the GPS screen. We get the approach active and they're both green, and you can see that the course width is now counting down from 1 mile to 0.3. You are not approved to go beyond the final approach fix if it does not activate. So that is something you need to be checking every time you fly an approach. That, by the way, is just telling you how far off your course you are in miles, and that is your internal CDI that the GPS has by itself. You can fly with a moving map if you'd like, but you need to be navigating with a CDI either in the GPS internally on the Nav1 page or with the external one next to the GPS. Now as we approach Oreo, what will happen is Oreo, which has an F next to it for final approach fix, will begin to blink, and also on the top right hand corner of the GPS screen, you'll see WPT for waypoint, and that will also begin to blink. And that's just a heads up from the GPS to you, telling you that, hey, we're passing a waypoint, you may need to change altitudes or change courses here. And that's not only true of an approach, but any time that you're crossing a waypoint with the GPS. There's the blinking, Oreo, and waypoint. Nothing we need to do at this point because the desired track is going to remain 185 until touchdown, but we do want to change our altitude once we cross Oreo. The pink line will sequence to the next, which will be runway 18 as our next point. 18 and M there stands for missed approach point. Now if you notice on the approach chart, there's another fix there, Zoo at 1.9 from nautical miles from runway 18. You just want to use the distance that you're getting from runway 18 on the GPS to identify that fix. So that's not, you can see there, it's not going to be a fix in between Oreo and runway 18. It's just going to be identified by its distance. At this point, we're going to go missed. So press cursor to get into the GPS screen, scroll down to Eaton, and then press direct, and then press enter. Now it's going to take you to Eaton again, but this time instead of an I, it's got an H next to it, which stands for hold, the hold at Eaton. So, desired track 005, set that in the GPS, and off you go. Okay, let's press nearest now and enter for the airport. And we don't want Clark, so we're going to pull that knob out, and you'll see scan come up on the screen. And then you want to just cycle that over until you find Bowman, push that back in now that we're done, and now we want to press direct for Bowman. To load a vector to final, press procedures, and then select approach. And we want a new approach now, and we're going to use the fat knob, scroll down to KLU, and now we'll press enter. And we want the RNAV24 GPS, enter. Now we want to get there via vector, so let's press enter again, and then replace flight plan, yes, so let's press enter again. Okay, now it's loaded, and you see the VTF there for vector to final, which is what you'll want to see there. Now you want to just take the normal cues from the controller, and then activate the vectors by pressing procedures a second time and then pressing enter. Now the vector to final turns green on the GPS screen, and just follow the vectors from the controller, and the GPS will actually plot a final approach course from the runway just going out forever, and it's up to you by the controller to navigate yourself to the pink line as opposed to the pink line starting from where your airplane is. And I'll show you that on the map here. We'll go to nav4. And you can see that final approach course just sticking out there by itself. And our airplane's on a downwind vector getting ready for the base turn. So control returns you on the base, clears you for the approach, and now we're going to intercept the pink line via our intercept heading given by the controller. Desired track for this approach is 245, which we've set on the external CDI as well. Now we're within 2 miles of the bonus. We're looking for that green light. There it is on the right hand side. Approach active. So again, that has to be there. Has to turn green for you to continue on the approach past this point. If that doesn't turn green, the GPS isn't loaded properly and you need to go missed, because it's not going to give you the 0.3 nautical mile course width. So Ruhi is 2 miles from runway 24. And the visual descent point is also 1.1 nautical miles. So both of those are going to be, again, identified by their distances from runway 24, not as individual waypoints. So we're inside of Ruhi there at 1.6 and approaching the visual descent point at 1.1. Okay, let's talk about how to use the GPS with an ILS approach. And we'll show you the OBS mode and how to load an approach for situational awareness. Well, the first thing that we need to do, of course, is go direct to catch, which is where that NDB station is, and then we'll fly that procedure turn there listed on the chart. So let's set up direct catch by pressing the nearest, because we're lazy, and use that outer knob, scroll over there to the NDB, press enter. Well, Lang's not the right one, so let's pull that out and scan for the right one. Turn that inner knob to the right there. There's catch, push that back in, and press direct. Okay, that loads automatically, press enter, and there's that desired track of 352, and go ahead and set that in the external CDI there. Okay, So this is what we want to do. We want to go direct catch, and then when we get to catch, we want to hit the OBS mode and turn to the right to 002 and set the OBS to 002 within an OBS mode. So that's what this is what that looks like. The OBS button second to the left, press that, and now that frees the CDI to set any course that you want. So you go up to your CDI and you set 002, and the GPS will follow suit and plot that course for you. So you'll see that there on the GPS. Now that we're outbound, we're going to fly this for 7 miles. Let's load the approach for situational awareness, and I'll show you how to do that. You just want to load it like you do normally. Go up to procedures, and once that's pressed, you can select approach by pressing enter. And JVY is our airport. Let's press enter again. And the ILS 18, that's our approach. Press enter. Okay, really important here, the approach is not approved for the GPS, so that means that you still have to navigate using your localizer. The GPS is going to plot the courses for you just for situational awareness. And let's go via catch, since that's the point that we're navigating off of. Outer knob, we'll scroll down to catch and then press enter. And that just tells the GPS, put that catch fix in as the first point. There you go. And add to flight plan, enter. So now we're outbound from catch, and it's time to do our procedure turn. So we're going to turn left 317, and now we want to set up for the ILS and depart from GPS navigation. So you got to come up there and make sure you press that nav GPS toggle switch. Can't forget to press that button. Now we're getting the ILS received on the OBS, and on the inbound we'll set 182. So here we are on the inbound now. That's the procedure turn inbound, and the localizer is set to 182, and it's starting to move in. So of course you'll turn the airplane to the right and fly 182, and that's what the GPS would show you on the moving map. You see all the points of the approach loaded there. So now that we've turned inbound, now we're flying the 182 course localizer, and we're on the ILS. And when we get to JVY, we're at glide slope intercept, and down you go on the ILS. Hey, thanks for watching my video. I hope this helps you fly safer and more effectively. Make sure that you refer to the KLN94 manual and supplement for further information regarding the use of this equipment.